Once again, we're staying in our designintent.dwg file, and I've left it exactly as it was at the end of the last video. So we've done our page setup, we've done our layout tab, it's ISO A3 landscape. Now it may be that you want to create another layout tab. We did delete the layout 2 tab in the previous video. What we can do there is we can right click over an existing layout tab and go to move or copy. And what we can do is move it to the end and create a copy by ticking the box. Click on OK. We now have one that is exactly the same, ISO A3 Landscape 2. You might then rename that one as ISO A3 Details, perhaps. So I'll click in there, and that might be our details sheet in our drawing. So let me just type that in like so. So we've got ISO A3 Details. You can have as many of these layout tabs in a DWG file as you like. Let's make sure that ISO A3 Landscape is the current layout tab by clicking on it. We're now going to go to the Home tab on the ribbon and into our layer properties. And I'm just going to drag across here a little bit so that we can actually see the names of our layers. So at the moment, we've got all our layers that are available to use. And what we need to do is create another new layer. And we're going to call it viewports, like so, and press enter. Now give it a color that is neutral. So I don't want it to be 30. So I'm going to click on 30 there. I'm going to make it this gray color here, color number 8, and click on OK. Now I'm just going to expand out these little columns here a little bit because you can see there's like a printer kind of logo there, and it says plot at the top of the column. Basically what it means is you can set any layer not to plot in AutoCAD. So if I click on the little plotter symbol for viewports, that means that the viewports layer will not plot. So I can close the layer properties manager, but just before I do, double click on the little piece of paper next to the word viewports. That'll make viewports the current drafting layer. Close the layer properties manager. Now, we're staying in the ISO A3 Landscape tab, and we're going to create some viewports now to create scaled views of our little bolting plate that we've got in the model space. So we're going to go to the Layout tab on the ribbon at the top of the screen here. And we look at the Layout Viewports panel here, and we've got various viewports available. Select Rectangular. And now we're going to click, drag, and click, like so. And that will place a very simple viewport in our Layout tab. Now, you'll notice that the grid is displayed in that viewport. Just double-click inside the boundary of the viewport. That makes it active. Come down here to the status bar, switch that grid mode off, like that. That's a lot easier. Now, you'll also notice there's our title block that's in the model space, and here's all of our information that we've got as well. Now, you'll notice that we've got a yellow layer for our objects at the moment. I'm going to change that in a moment, and you'll see why, because yellow doesn't look that good on a white background. Double-click outside the viewport to deactivate it. Go back to the Model tab, and double-click on the wheel to zoom extent so that you can see everything. These two polylines here can now be deleted, like so. And just double-click on the wheel again to zoom extents. Now, I'm just going to go to Layer drop-down here in the Layers panel, and where it says Objects, I'm going to click on the color box, and I'm going to change the color there to white, this one here. So it's color 7, and it will say color white. Click on OK, and that updates. Now, when I go back to the ISO A3 Landscape tab, you'll see here that it now changes, and you can see there now, obviously, that we've got objects on a different color layer. It just stands out a little bit more. Now, these viewports can be scaled accordingly. Now, all I want in the viewport is the bolting plate plan view. So I'm going to double click in the viewport, and I'm going to zoom so that I can get it just into the view there like so, and then double click outside the viewport. Now you can just see a little bit of text there off the table, so just click on the edge of the viewport without it activated. Click on the grip and just bring it in to the edges like so, and just get it so it fits around that plan view nice and neatly like that. That's pretty good like that, and then hit escape to deselect. Now, when I double click inside that viewport now, you can see that I have 0.077964 down here on the status bar. That is my scale of my viewport, which is not really recognizable. But if we go here and click on the arrow, I'm going to select 1 to 10. And that's a little bit too big, but that's fine. Double click outside the viewport and go back again. Use the grips again. Just click drag, and click and drag. Just keep doing it each time. Get it to fit the viewport like so. And what you're doing here is you're setting up a scaled viewport so that you can actually see a scaled view of the information from the model space. So just hit escape there to deselect that viewport like so. Now, here's where we have to start thinking about other viewports as well. So I go back to the layout tab and I want another rectangular viewport. So I'll click on rectangular again and I'm going to place another one. And you can use the snap points if you wish, and do something like that. And this time what we'll do is we'll perhaps place the table in the viewport. Double click inside the viewport, zoom and pan. Now this time you just want the table to fit the viewport. So just keep zooming and panning until it fits. And if you're happy with that kind of view like that, double click outside the viewport and again click on the edge of it, click on the grips, resize it accordingly, and then click like so and hit escape to deselect. Now, the benefit you've got there is you've got two different viewports at two different scales. We know that this viewport here, if I click on it and look at the status bar, is 1 to 10. This viewport, if I click on it, has a non-recognizable scale, but it's roughly 0.5. So that's probably going to be about 1 to 2. And that fits nicely in there like so, another recognized standard scale. Hit escape now to deselect the viewports. And what we've got now are two viewports all set up neatly and tidily in a drawing, communicating our design intent from the model space.